It was like,
seemed
don't do
to
it.
think that we
Right.
were
Well,
enough.
you-
And I said to him, well,
So I was asking people
I
from
hadn't
Minnesota, and they were
heard
going,
you just told
God,
me
no,
that.
please don't.
and I
Please
said
think
to
of
him,
that
well,
over
gee,
here.
that was just
And then,
comedy.
but I was still
because
gonna do
you
it.
probably didn't
And I
have a
talked to a
good
lady
way to
on
mark
the airplane on the way in.
state
I was like,
lines.
she was like,
And
you are?
I think they were thinking.
And when I landed, I looked and had my hand, my questions answered
Yeah.
by
You know,
everybody.
but I
And they
said,
were like,
maybe they paid their taxes, but to the wrong state.
well, they're like, even in the nice side
They
of you,
thought
this
they
isn't
were
worth
in
coming
this
to.
state.
Well, yeah, it was colony, and
To
colonies
North and South
would go
Dakota.
from pillar to post to
Yeah.
tree to whatever,
No real
like it does in
mark.
West Virginia.
Mhm.
Okay, so the tree
Right back
box out and nothing there to tell you the tree was there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so, but anyway, that's the reason why Bill didn't want to do that.
Basically,
He said,
yes.
I don't want to know if it's in your criminals, you know,
yeah.
somebody jailbird or something like that.
This business though about, figuring out that grandfather that's buried in Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah,
Hey, Don,
If
thanks.
I were to
Finally, someone here
ask
that's
my,
louder than me.
my grandson's wife, because
I keep
she
getting pinged by
was
Shirley
raised
now.
Mormon,
Lured folks.
they are Mormon, but,
out.
but Nat wasn't
Is this
born
thing like going?
Mormon,
Is that what
or
it is?
she was.
What?
And so
Fucking
she
too
may
nice.
be able to get
Who's gonna wanna sit
information
through this?
that you and I wouldn't be able to get. So I might say something to her and let her see what you can.
right. I have a feeling, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I have a feeling that Robert, or that, Dad Curtis,
Actually, maybe we'll
was
like
down
English right here.
in that part of the world as a soldier of Civil War,
Hey,
right
Dennis,
at the end of it.
Dennis, you're Dennis.
Because
Is the one with
if Dad was born in '88,
I saw you.
he was the last of the bunch.
Why did you take a picture of that?
That means the Curtis would have been about the right age to get pulled into the Civil War,
Oh,
Either we get a
okay,
handle on
okay?
yeah.
kind of
And
like the
that-
past, right?
He had been in with one of the romps that went through Alabama and Georgia, you know, that time when they wiped out Atlanta. Well, he might have gotten killed down there and buried in Georgia, rather than let go back to Mexico. So I have a feeling, because I can't, unless I can see the gravestone and see what he was, if it's a military gravestone, yes, that's what happened to him.
Like that's gonna happen.
Because there was no reason, I didn't think that there was anything between him and Grandma that
Ask Dad
was
if
so
he can about our
unusual that he went away from the
whole
farm.
American Indian thing.
Now, I had
Somehow we've
heard
got like American
somewhere-
blood. Because I'm like, here, his sister totally saying bullshit.
I got the idea that Grandma was a widow of somebody in the army or something, and she was given as her portion of what is this giveaway free land type stuff,
Do the film.
something like 900 acres.
Oh, my
That took out the Petersons over on the road going into Pine Island,
Oh,
and Otto Andrews, and Vernon, Roderick, and, you know, McCormick's and all those was down in that area there. There was 900
Like that's not something.
acres that actually belonged to her. But then when 32 came through, and they were on the farm, they had to start selling off sections of this land to pay taxes.
Dad's convinced that.
And so he ended up with a 60 acres sitting up between the hills instead of keeping the flat land. I had heard that, I don't know whether I heard it from Uncle Artie or Dale, or I was listening to somebody battling back and forth, you know, when a family reunion or something. But I had heard that somehow
Designated seats with.
Dad, through his mother,
Demoting you to the bed.
had
Or at least
been
this way.
given by the government, this, you know, 900 or whatever, maybe 900
I sacrificed
acres or
my shirt for a
something
joke.
like that. And when the crash came in 29, he had to keep selling it off to pay his taxes. And, but I still buy stuff to plant and that sort of stuff. And that's how the sections all got cut up into
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So, and of course,
So we have a question. What's this about the American Indian that we have in our blood? Do you know anything about it?
That was supposed to have been that grandma that he was just talking about, that she was supposed to have been part Indian. Well, I don't know. I have a granddaughter who is married to an Ojibwe Indian. She was married, wait a minute now. No.
Stand on the bed.
No, the one that she married to is Mendwaka
But I can't see over you.
Indian. And they have the,
I know, you got room.
out here on Prairie Island, the,
Sitting on things.
what am I trying to say, Treasure Island
There's a chair right
Casino.
I'm doing it back.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Those, that Indian.
Yeah, Andrew
has
did
that-
this one, so.
that
Actually, I'm gonna stand
out
around.
there.
and
On a
see.
reservation.
Well,
So.
her little boy was part of that tribe, and she now has a little girl, and, oh, I'm getting this backwards maybe, who is Ojibwe Indian. Okay, so that's two grandchildren who are in part half Indian. They're each half Indian. Then I have two little grandsons, great-grandsons, that these are Jody's grandsons. They're Ghana. Their dad was born in Ghana. And so I have two little black grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and two Indians. Now, you can't tell me that's not doing a pretty good job of spreading the...
But to your knowledge, do you know if there's any Indian
I've gone international.
in past
Oh,
generations?
in the past. I don't know. I've heard that business about this grandma being Indian, but I don't know if it's true or
Pike.
not. Yeah,
I thought it was
Through the Pikes.
Susquehannock.
through
That
the
was the
Pikes.
last
It was
name.
through the Pikes.
Pike was the last
Oh,
name.
Which was
oh,
through the
no,
Robert
that was
tribe.
prompting.
Oh,
Mom had the Indian blood in her, okay, not dad,
oh,
okay?
see,
I thought
I'm just confused.
I thought it was Susquehannock Indian.
Yeah, Susquehanna.
Susquehanna.
Indian, not Sioux or Chippewa. We were always, it must have been up here in Minnesota at the time. It's over Rhode Island.
Oh,
Right at the top of the Chesapeake Bay, there's a river that comes down there that's named after those Indians. And guess what? They're the most hated Indians in the world.
I thought it was the
According to
Cree.
him.
I thought it was the Cree. Was
These are
it-
my people.
Isn't it Cree? I thought it was the Cree Indians.
So, and that's what he found out.
Mohawks.
No, it's
all I
like
know is I
Susquehanna.
sit here and I think,
Actually, almost
what's
that?
dull life?
Something that they didn't call it.
Totally, you know,
Like-
southern Minnesota never got out of here enough for nothing. And then I come around and every day it seems like I come up with another
We called them.
true stories.
It's like we call them Indians. They were.
But I never thought of it
I know,
as
that was way off.
anything
But
to
we're just
talk
gonna
up,
keep doing
you know?
Right.
even
But
though we know better.
I just,
But see, all of this stuff that you're
Well, for
talking about now,
instance-
you gotta
They're
put
all
down in a
Redskins.
piece of paper.
did you know that you have people, ancestors who were in the Minnesota history? We had a verdict that was representative in the,
Senator, yeah.
in the
Senate?
Yeah, he was a
In the-
congressman.
North Dakota.
Minnesota
Well, I
government.
thought there was wasn't Quentin Burdick out in Nebraska, North Dakota?
Yeah, yeah,
And his
that's
son.
him too, but this was Walter. Walter
Oh,
Burdick.
yeah.
Walter used to come out and see, the only time we ever saw Walter was when it was election time. Walter lived in Rochester. But when it was time for needing to have a vote, he'd come out and visit Dad.
And
And
you better
so
take
was
that
he
down on a
was
piece
he
of
a
paper.
brother or a cousin of your
I
dad's?
have no idea what he was. I mean, in fact, my dad, I can remember him saying that the only time Walter was related to us was when it was time to vote.
What time
was related to us. And I mean, he did. I can remember seeing Walter.
Do you know what the Roy story? Who Roy Story was?
Roy Story was a guy that lived up the road to the west of us. And he used to come down and chop trees down in Cornwall's Woods.
Oh.
And
I thought he was a hired man of Dad.
Yeah.
huh?
I thought he was a hired man of Dad.
No,
I have a picture.
he may have been somewhere along the way.
Well, I have a picture somewhere of Dad on a horse, and Roy Story was riding the smaller horse. I don't know if it was Jip or what it was.
Was that Roy Story or was that, Dad had a friend that came to see us after Mom died. And he was there for a few days. He and his wife and,
Maybe that wasn't Roy, but I always wonder what Roy
Oh, yeah,
saw.
it was one of the guys.
He had
that
bad
was
ears.
The
Joel.
badass, you know?
Joel?
Joe, what, Joe?
Are you saying Joe or Joel?
Joel.
Joel.
No,
Joel?
no, Joe.
Oh,
But
Joe.
what was his name? Dad's best friend, I think. And his name was Joe.
Wasn't Hawkins.
No. Oh, God, no.
Wasn't Runge.
Dad didn't have any Hawkinses that he.
I know they didn't, but it could have been one of those black sheep of the
There's a
family.
story behind that.
Dad hated I know why he hated the Hawkinses.
Why? I didn't know.
Because the Hawkinses took some horseradish and they planted it right next to the creek. And we had a flood one year. And he went out there to save his horseradish, and he cut it off and had little chips of horseradish that fell in the water and washed down and got into Dad's hayfield. Okay?
That's
And
bad.
Dad didn't know it was there, and he went down to plot up so he could put some corn in. And he got into that sprout of horseradish, spread it all over the field. And then the Jews that came out of Rochester came out there and saw all that horseradish. They asked him, "Can we dig up some of that horseradish?" "Yeah, you fill in the holes." Well, they dug up the top of it, but a lot of the holes they didn't dig in.
How did the
They
Jews
didn't
know
fill
it's
in.
there?
Dad went down there with a team of horses, and they were stepping in those holes and stumble.
Big nose.
And so he didn't like them either. So, but it was Hawkinses
Hawkins.
that Dad didn't like because they took that damn horseradish out there next to the creek.
He had another reason though for
Oh,
not
did he?
liking Pat Hawkins. Pat Hawkins rented that farm right behind us.
Yeah, up over the 20 Hills.
Yeah, well, but what was the name of the people when we were growing up?
Forget.
Right behind us.
I forget
Well,
who it was.
anyhow, Pat rented that farm. Then somehow, so we shared a fence line with
Right,
Pat Hawkins.
right.
And somehow our cows got out of our pasture into Pat's pasture. And Pat sued our dad because they had wrecked the fence or something. And Pat had gone out and fixed his part of the fence. He went out, because each one of them had to do half of the common fence between. The only thing is, because it made sense, Pat fixed this part of the fence, which was closer to his house, and left the other part for Dad to do. Well, Dad was busy with whatever, and so he didn't get it done, and so Pat sued him, but Dad won the suit, because when you have a common fence, you step up to your side of the fence, facing essentially, and you fix the fence to the right.
Right.
So
Okay.
he fixed his fence.
So Pat fixed Dad's part of the fence, and Dad won the suit. And Dad didn't have any time for Pat Hawkins for the rest of his life, absolutely nothing. And still, we had Pat's kids, and Kate and I were in the same 4-H club, and we went to one another's house, and everything was fine.
Yeah.
Dad had no problem with Pat's wife, and she thought she was just fine. but he sure didn't like Pat for nothing.
That's the other reason why Dad didn't like him.
Well,
That was a story I didn't know
Whatever
about.
happened
Well, you
to
know,
the
but
fence
now I'm
that never
seeing
get
a little
built?
bit of Bill in your dad.
Oh, yeah, there's a.
Oh, well, there was a lot of Bill and Dad.
Yeah.
A lot
Dad
of
was stubborn.
Dad and Bill,
It
a
was
lot of
all
Dad and
stubborn too,
Bill.
wasn't it?
Yeah, but Dad was stubborn, but Bill was also stubborn.
That's what I mean.
And Dad told Bill that he wanted him to take and hitch up Maud and
That's one of the horses' names.
Dick and go out and get some hay and bring it in. And Bill says, I don't want to do that. I'm going to hitch up Dolly, which was Dick's younger sister, out of Maud, because Maud was the old mare that was controlling both of them. And so Dad said, put the old mare and he'd hold down, Dick or Doll. So Bill put Doll and Dick together. And he hitched them to the wagon and the rack and pulled it up in the backyard. And Dad said to him, he says, unhitch, Doll from there and put Dick over on that side and put Maud over on the control side. Bill says, I won't do it. Jumped up on the rack, hit the rack with his
Whip?
no, with the lines, the trestles. It goes, whap! Oh, he hit it, and Dick and Doll was on the run right then. Pew! Out of the backyard they come, between the barn and the house. The rack hit the side of the house, the corner of the house, went out into the road, down the road to the cheese factory. They finally got over, he got pulled over into the hay field, and they were on dead run until they got to the end of that field. Well, fine.
With the wagon?
With the wagon and the rack, and he was up on there trying to back them off, and they
How old was
wouldn't.
Bill?
Huh?
How old was Bill?
I don't know, I'm 16 years old, maybe. 15, 15, 16. But anyway,
Is he doing one of these?
he got down to the end of the field, and the driveway that goes over to the Hawkinses is raised up above the
Is
field.
this another reason why they don't like us?
The horses come up over there, and they went up and they jumped up over on top of the driveway, over the other side and down, right? Well, Bill riding in the rack come up there, and that
Smash.
wagon hit that
Bill?
berm there, pulled the wagon apart, sent the rack up into the air, landed on the other side, about that far from Bill's head.
Oh my God.
And the team took off down the road. Bill's laying up there half knocked out, and they ended up down in the Hickey's yard,
Do they-
about
do
a
they-
mile and a half
do they-
away.
Do the Hinkies hate us too?
Well, that made Dad mad.
Well, I can imagine.
Well, Dad decided he was going to tell Bill where he stood in life, and it wasn't a nice argument. Bill said, well, I don't want your damn farm anyway, and he went over to the Rungies.
Oh, that was
See, he
him
left.
for
Hey,
life?
he went over to the Rungies over there and worked with Carl Rungie, and his dad, for the rest of the time, he wasn't doing in the
Until the
army.
army?
So he left home at
Yeah, he never did come back to the house.
And Dad's son didn't like say words until
Huh?
after the war? Oh no. Did your dad die while Bill was in the army?
49.
Yeah, 47, no, he was back out.
Okay.
He'd gotten out in
Did
45.
they mend ways before?
But a couple of years, and then Dad died in 47 when we was up in Northfield. Okay, and I went and bobbed around between, and I hated that worse than anything I knew of. And then finally, Lionel Brandt, bless his heart,
Hi, party people.
Oh.
Lionel
Party
Brandt
people.
knew
More bills?
More that
bills.
No.
Oh, dinner.
No.
It's your
Oh,
dinner.
Gosh, I'm not even hungry.
I'll just put it down here for now.
Yeah, well.
Oops, sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, little bro.
Oh, thanks a lot. Hey, I'm gonna pull a wrench on you.
Oh, veteran.
Say baby
There
brother.
you
Yeah, that's right. That's
Baby brother.
Baby brother.
Oh, baby bro.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, baby bro.
Baby bro.
Gotta get it right.
But anyway,
Thank you.
then
I want to know about this.
Mom
fence.
had died in 39.
I don't know.
Dad lived until about 40.
Celebrity was.
Yeah, I know.
47.
Yeah, but he left the
My
farm
dad's got that
Right.
streak in him too.
42. We lived
42.
in-
Okay.
We left.
And we went up and
Yeah, he's
moved
not
up to
smart as
Northfield.
those guys.
Or Northfield.
Yeah.
But anyway, when Bill got back, and I was now a little bent wire that was trying to be threaded through a needle about 1.5 feet away from the end. Let me put it that way, if I can characterize it. Anyway, Lionel Brandt saw that I was headed for something
Ruin.
that wasn't good.
Trouble.
So he took Bill aside and he says, "Hey, Bill, you better see what about something getting Ed in the Army, or get him in the military. He needs to have some direction." So Bill came over and he didn't know what to do about it, and he came over and he said, "Ed, have you ever thought about going in the service?" I says, "Yeah, I'm in the National Guard and I want to go in the Army." "Oh," Bill says, "yeah, no, I don't think you want to go in there." "Well," I said, "I do, because I'm already in the National Guard. I like the uniform." "Well," he says, "I tell you what,
Good enough reason.
I was in the Army and I was in the war, and I'm going to give you a few hints." And he says, "I found out when I came back from over there that the Navy gives you a dry bunk, they haul your chow around, you get in out of the rain most of the time, and you can sleep at night in a dry bed. Now, if you'd rather not do that, maybe you ought to think about sleeping in a foxhole with 6 inches of hot water in the middle of a winter time."
So what'd you
And not
do?
only that, but you carry your own food on your back.
Sold, I'm going to the
And the
Army.
worst part of it is you go into the bathroom in your helmet and then wash it out and then heat up your.
Put your meals
I'm sorry. That's good. Don't miss that.
So,
I don't know what's something
Get this
there.
time.
But anyway, he says, and you know, once you use the bathroom, on your helmet, you wash it out, and then you warm up your food you're going to eat that night. And I thought about that for a while. I said, "You know what?
Poop hole.
I think you got something there,
Maybe
Bill."
sounds pretty
So I went and
good.
joined the Navy. That's the story of me after Dad died, and I was about ready to. The Lionel Brandt says, "I think he's getting ready to go to St. Cloud."
what were you doing?
Getting in trouble.
That's
I
as
wasn't
specific
getting a
as you're
job.
gonna
I
get.
was just doing messing around.
I thought that story, the story I always heard was that the magistrate told you that you had to choose.
No, that was
military
Lionel
or-
Brandt. Lionel Brandt was the vice chief of police.
Oh, that's entirely
he was
different.
Yeah, he got word about me down there in the pool hall and that sort of stuff, and
So he used Bill to get you. He-
yeah. So
you
he
weren't like
told
in
Bill,
front of
he
the
said, "You
judge
better
to
take
get
your
him-
younger brother, and put him someplace where he's going to be, taught something."
Lionel Brandt was Ed's cop in Northfield. My cop was the chief of police. His name was Barney Wells.
Yes.
Yes.
Did
And
you used to get in trouble
wound
too?
up being such a good friend of Barney Wells that I would spend Saturday night playing poker with him. Now, how many, let's see, I was about, probably about 20
Yeah.
years old. How many get to brag about gambling with the chief of police?
Well, we got
Were you getting into trouble
Northfield's a good
too?
outfit.
But Northfield took care of us. Uh-huh.
I said, you were getting into trouble too?
Oh, I wasn't in trouble. I was a good friend of the chief of police.
Hey,
So
Dad.
anyway, what?
Dad, we need to go check